Okay, take 6. Yeah, g'day. Take 6. Okay, hi. How you going? Let's get some of this gear off. 6th of July. It is a Wednesday evening, and I am in the process of doing my first video recording in, oh God knows, over 2 months. I haven't really posted anything onto any of the channels or even on Instagram over the last couple of weeks. Sydney is in lockdown at the moment, and it's been extended for another week. So I thought, even though I do have work during work hours, tonight's a good night to catch up a little bit and to do the first installment of this new project that I've been working on. Been really busy with some things, especially with work. But I have some news, some good news about the filmmaking and the advances being made even whilst in lockdown. Okay, for those who know, maybe for those who don't know, I have been passionately shooting Canon for several years. Last December, I made my first leap into a dream camera, the Canon 5D Mark II, which was the first real full-frame camera that I owned, and it was something that I wanted for a long time, even when I didn't know why I wanted full frame as opposed to having a crop sensor. I knew I wanted one. I knew it was significantly more pricey than my crop sensor camera, and I knew it had more resolution and in a bigger frame that I could use, but didn't really know exactly what it was that it gave it an advantage. If I go back to just the beginning of my filmmaking journey thus far, and on this particular journey, I might have made creative forays into areas like filmmaking in my 20s and beyond that, but let's say 6-7 years ago was when I first made a very conscious decision to become a filmmaker. I came into it thinking I would learn everything I would have to learn through experience and through research and through making films, which there's a lot of YouTube creators out there and filmmakers who say, yeah, like, you just got to get your hands dirty and it'll look after itself. You will learn as you go along, and there is a lot of truth in that. Not everyone could be on the same level financially, even, like to tackle this filmmaking and to craft one's vision, and to have that vision manifest onto a very tangible half-hour, 40-minute, 5-minute time frame. In that duration, what I wanted to be was the being that created everything in and around and in between the whole thing. It's my vision. Pretty early on, I wanted to be a fiction filmmaker. Been working on trying to come up with a cohesive story that I could tell, but also very interested in doing documentary works and documentary film projects, short film projects, and just exercising my filmmaking muscles, you know. Over the last couple of months, I've found myself in a very good situation where I was given an opportunity to make quite a leap when it comes to the current gear that I'm using. Now, when you're shooting on Canon or Sony or Nikon, it's a whole habitation. It's a whole habitat that you're buying into. You just don't buy the camera and that's the end of it. There's everything else around it. I mean, when you're shooting, it's like, are you shooting on what format? And that format, what do you edit that in? Which particular video editing software do you use? And once you got that, like, are you going to be doing it on Windows? Are you going to be doing it iOS, Apple, Linux, what have you? There's advantages and disadvantages with all the platforms, and it's really dependent on what you want to do. When I was working on a Linux platform, I used to love this program called Flowblade, which is just not available on the other ones, and vice versa. There's things on Windows that I can't use on Apple, so it's a bit of a compromise at that level. Also, when you buy a camera, that's one part. There's all the lenses. Is it a mirrorless or a DSLR camera? Is it something that you can mount other type of lenses to? Can you adapt vintage lenses onto it? Do you have to pull your own focus, or can you rely on the new autofocus systems that's around nowadays that professionals seem to like? When I started doing this, there's just no way, because of the gear I was using and because of the limited exposure I had to more technologically recent equipment. When I learned and when I shot my first sort of content films or whatever, I did it on cameras that wouldn't allow me to do anything but pull my own focus. So I got quite good at that. So all the equipment that went around that, like the stabilization units, all of that stuff had to coexist with the camera that I was using. So seven something years ago, it was Sony. The first real camera I got was a Sony A3500, which was, funnily enough, an E-mount camera, which is what sort of cameras Sony produce now and the sort of mount that they use. That was several years ago, but now it's popular. There's a lot of people who shoot Sony, and will swear black and blue that it's the best system out there. And you know, for a good couple of years, I was a true believer, and I shot only in Sony. I was so lucky to get the Sony at the price that I got it from. That was a mirrorless camera, and I bought that in 2012, I think, 2013. The camera was only a couple of years old at the time. It was 20.8 megapixels, I believe, and it allowed for some really cool mirrorless functionalities. Couldn't trust the autofocus yet, but it allowed me to muck around with older lenses as well. There's so much stuff that I learned on that camera. Look, I love the E-mount camera, the Alpha camera so much. I got myself a compact sort of version of one. It was the Nex 5, the Sony Nex 5. It's this smaller in body, but used the same lenses. Performance-wise, couldn't really tell much difference between the two of them. I particularly like shooting monochrome on that camera for some reason. It seemed to handle low light better for some reason. So maybe just the kit lenses was better on the Nex 5 than it was on the 3500. Anyway, I love those two cameras and I used them a lot. But there was one day when I saw in the mirror this pawn shop, something I've never seen before. It was a Samsung Next. I think that's what it was. Samsung. It's a Samsung camera. Who's ever heard of a Samsung camera? And it was a detachable lens camera. The color in this thing was gorgeous, but the frame rates were just the same as what I already had, 24 frames to 30, and I couldn't shoot 1080. I couldn't shoot higher than 1080. That was really pushing that. And the problem with all of these cameras too is the low ISO that I would have to stick to, because it just was not capable of low light usability. So I had to be very careful about the window of opportunity I had to make my content and my films. But I got so used to that way of making films and movies and videos that it wasn't really much of a bother. And I got so used to it, and my routine went around that. I used to shoot videos every day for like 3-4 years in the first 4 years of my filmmaking journey. That's not a word of a lie. I used to catch buses and film from there, and got city, just filmed everything. Even significant moments in the private life I did. You know, with all of this too, with this journey, I also got into drones. I'm flying a DJI drone at the moment, but I did fly Bebop 2 for years, and before that even my first UPS drones were like things like I forget the name now, but they look like bugs. Is it Bugs 3? Bugs 2s and Bugs 3s. GPS, reliable, camera, shot to shit. But it got me up there and got me droning. Anyway, from Sony and being on that for a while, being quite happy with it, making content on YouTube that I didn't really share with anyone, but I made hundreds and hundreds of videos. I found myself one day deciding to try Canon. So I went from a mirrorless setup to a DSLR, thinking there wouldn't be that much difference, but there was a lot of difference. There was a stubbornness to DSLR, and a difficulty level to shooting video on DSLR for some reason, but I liked it, and the videos that I ended up with after all the bullshit of editing and rendering down, I really liked the look and the color of Canon. So I went and got the 1300D or 1200D, followed by one of my dream cameras, the 600D. First camera I had with a full proper articulating screen, so I could vlog to my heart's content. That was a big bonus, and that's a feature I wish I had on all of my cameras since. And then I went last year, Christmas time, I got a Christmas bonus. That's the time when I got myself my first full frame, second hand though, Canon 5D Mark II with a 1.4 50mm Sigma one, and the two together is just beautiful, and I still love shooting with that for photography and video. Yeah, full frames, I can shoot in RAW, even bigger files. It wasn't that much of an issue with my computer yet, not yet. A couple of months ago, if that, a friend of mine from work, who's a photographer, professional one, who gets paid for doing the thing that he loves doing, he'd gone around on his own journey, and is now getting into videography, and he's planning all that out, and he's full hectic into getting the right gear for that. So he's gone to Sony A7S III, he's picked up 2 of them. He was a Nikon man through and through and through, and when you believe it, he sold me a Nikon Z6, which is truly my first pro camera. 4K, shoots 4K, 60 frames a second I believe. It shoots 1080 at 120 frames. Things I would only try to do on like action cameras or on my iPhone. Built-in stabilization like you won't believe. Autofocus that works like that you won't believe. Touchscreen autofocus, so if I'm focused on someone and they're moving from one place to the other and I might lose them in the motion, bang, I can press the touchscreen and get back into follow focus. It's brilliant. But the camera itself is absolutely bonkers brilliant. Z6 is apparently Nikon's first foray into mirrorless, and they nailed it. People never used to really shoot video in Nikon, but now it's a real valid alternative to a Sony or a Canon. Now I sort of got everything in a bundle when I got this, because why go half cocked? He upgraded to a DJI Ronin S2, and he had rarely used the slightly older Canon Ronin S, and he had it with all of the handles, wooden handles from small rig, follow focus unit on there. He did that as a deal with the camera. So all I really needed at that point to make this rig an absolute beast for paid sort of content work like weddings. Like, I'm not fucking around here, this is like I went and got these Rode Videomic Pro, which is like a $300-400 microphone that plugs directly into the Nikon Z6. Now we're talking about new, oh my god, six and a half just there. I'm not talking about the prices to XDD cards and batteries and what have you. It's not cheap, it's not a cheap system. And I know that, but the thing is, I own it now. I haven't fully paid it off yet, but I am in possession of that particular gear, and those 3 things are the basis for my continuation into filmmaking. I'm going to be starting to regular content creating through Instagram or YouTube, and I will discuss all the things that I do and discuss all the motion movements I'm making towards becoming a videographer who's a professional videographer, a content creator as well, who has a little bit of, you know, I don't know what it is exactly, but I want to have it. So that's where we are with everything. I'll keep on catching you up with what's going on, and I'll keep on building and building, and I've never been in such a great and happy position in regards to my equipment. So if you want to, you know, subscribe, comment, yada. I don't ask, not much anyway. Thank you.